For those who grew up without affection, what did you consider intimate? When my drill sergeant noticed I was eating alone every meal and started saving me a seat at his table in the mess hall, then quietly asking about my day while we ate our terrible army food together. This happened during basic training at Fort Benning when I was 18 and had never experienced consistent care from an adult in my entire life. I'd grown up in foster care, bouncing between homes where affection was rare and adults were either indifferent or actively harmful. Physical touch meant punishment and personal questions meant trouble was coming. Drill Sergeant Williams was this tough, no-nonsense guy who terrified most recruits, but I noticed he paid attention to details about his soldiers that others missed completely. During the first few weeks, I'd sit alone at meals because I didn't know how to join conversations or connect with the other recruits who seemed so comfortable together. Most drill sergeants ate separately from trainees in their own section, but Williams would occasionally sit at recruit tables to observe behavior and maintain discipline during meal times. One day, Williams sat down across from me while I was eating alone and said, "Rodriguez, how's the food treating you today?" It was such a simple question, but nobody had asked me anything about my personal experience in years. I didn't know how to respond to genuine interest from an authority figure. "It's fine, Drill Sergeant," I answered, expecting him to move on or find something to criticize about my military bearing or table manners. Instead, Williams stayed and ate his meal while making casual conversation about the training schedule and asking if I was keeping up with the physical demands of basic training. This became our routine over the following weeks. Williams would find me at meals and sit with me, asking about my progress, my concerns, and how I was adapting to military life. He never made it obvious or drew attention to our conversations. To other recruits, it looked like normal drill sergeant supervision, but to me it felt absolutely revolutionary. Williams started remembering details I'd mentioned in previous conversations, like when I said my boots were giving me blisters. He followed up the next day to make sure I'd gotten proper medical treatment. When I struggled with homesickness despite having no real home to miss, Williams understood that I was grieving the family I'd never had, rather than missing specific people I'd left behind. "Some people miss home when they're away," he told me quietly one evening after a particularly difficult day. "Others mourn the home they never got to have. Both feelings are completely valid." Williams began sharing small stories about his own difficult childhood, not to compare pain or make it a competition, but to show me that survival could eventually lead to something meaningful and stable. The intimacy wasn't in grand gestures or emotional declarations, it was in consistent presence, remembered details, and the safety of knowing someone was genuinely paying attention to my well-being. Williams taught me that care could be quiet and steady, that someone could show up reliably without expecting anything in return or having ulterior motives for their kindness. When I graduated basic training, Williams told me privately, "You've got good instincts and a strong heart, Rodriguez. Don't let anyone in this world convince you otherwise." Years later, I realized those meal conversations had been my first real experience with unconditional positive regard from a parental figure who genuinely cared about my development. Williams showed me that intimacy didn't have to be dramatic or overwhelming. Sometimes it's just someone choosing to sit with you consistently when you're used to being alone. Sometimes intimacy is just someone choosing to sit with you when you're used to being alone and remembering what you said the day before.